While gaming phones are a species we've heard of before and which can be said to have reached a sort of maturity, there aren't really any gaming tablets on the market, which made me wonder why. Because at least in theory, the larger screen of a tablet should make this category of devices more suitable for gaming. One answer to this philosophical why might be that the tablet market is not what it used to be. Today, fewer and fewer manufacturers dare to make a general use tablet, let alone a gaming one. At this moment, the only dedicated models that come to mind are the Razer Edge and ROG Flow Z13, but the latter doesn't even run on Android, but on Windows, so the selection is slim if you want a better gaming experience than what a phone can offer. And so, the Lenovo Legion Tab Y700 has landed, a small tablet not much larger than a regular phone, but with features specially designed for gaming. It is well built, has adequate performance, and doesn't cost a fortune, as is often the case with dedicated gaming phones. At first glance, it may seem like the perfect package, but it has a few drawbacks, which probably not everyone will be willing to accept. Let's take a closer look, I say. And let's start with the elephant in the room, namely the engine. Games are a demanding species of applications, and they have the bad habit of bringing hardware to its knees. Therefore, one of the most important pieces of this puzzle is the chipset, in this case a Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, already a few years old, but certainly still powerful enough for games, especially aided by good cooling. But we'll get there. Until then, to see how we stand, I installed quickly a Geekbench 6, and the results are not bad at all. 1854 points in single core and almost 4700 in multi-core. Very good values for this chipset and at least 20% higher than on a regular phone with the same chipset. The situation is similar in 3D Mark, where I got 2799 points in Wildlife Extreme. This should translate into games, and I was pleased to see that the Legion Tab handled well absolutely all the titles I tried. I started the tests with Hearthstone, a lighter game at first glance, but one that supports high refresh rates, and with many particles flying on the screen all the time, so it's not easy to maintain a constant frame rate. In a gaming session of over an hour, I encountered no lag at all. The game went as smoothly as possible and also looked good thanks to the display, but more on that later. However, I noticed that the tablet got quite hot after about 45 minutes. Not hot enough to burn your fingers, but the area to the right of the cameras felt quite hot to the touch, and initially I was worried that it would overheat in more demanding games. In defense of Lenovo, it must be said that there is also a hard plastic case included in the package, with a design intended to dissipate heat, a welcome addition that slightly improves the temperature situation and helps the chipset reach a slightly higher frequency. Don't think of a major difference, we're talking about 100 MHz at most, but if you're a serious gamer and want the best performance, then you'd better use the case. In addition to that, you also have a higher level of protection, as well as the option of a cover that also serves as a stand for the tablet. Returning to games, the next on the list was Rocket League Sideswipe, an esports title that, although limited to 60 FPS, needs as stable a frame rate as possible without stutter. The Legion Tab had no problems with this game either, I saw no trace of lag, and the experience was as competitive as it gets. So no complaints, next. I then moved on to Call of Duty Warzone Mobile, the newest AAA shooter on the Play Store, a game significantly harder to run than the older Call of Duty Mobile. I didn't have too many problems here either, even though I encountered a few small hiccups here and there. But I dug a little, and it seems that the problem is from the awkward optimization of the game, and even phones with Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 fail to run this game flawlessly, so I won't deduct any points from Legion Tab here. Well, now that we've seen the tablet performs well in gaming, as expected, it's time to talk about all the other features and improvements, and the first thing that caught my eye are the two USB-C 3.1 Gen 2 ports, one on the bottom edge and one on the left edge. This clearly makes the tablet more practical when playing, because you don't have to struggle with a cable that needs to enter right where you hold your hand. But the most interesting part is yet to come, because the port on the left also supports a secondary display. This means that using a simple USB-C cable, a mouse and a keyboard, you can turn your tablet into an improvised workstation with which to get your job done when needed, or you can project the tablet's screen onto a secondary display to allow those next to you to see your game. Like many Android phones, the Legion Tab also has a special menu that only activates in games and which allows you to perform some interesting tricks. First of all, you can choose between 3 distinct modes: energy saver, balanced or performance, depending on your needs. Do you want to have better battery life at the expense of performance, or do you want the games to run as fast as possible above everything else? However, it should be noted that in performance mode, the frequencies jump quite a bit, and with them, the temperatures. As I said before, the case helps a bit in this respect, but the best move you can make is to plug in a power cable and activate the battery pass-through function from the special menu. You see, when you play, the battery is quite stressed, which causes the battery to heat up and increase the temperature of the entire chassis, so the processor has less cooling headroom. Battery pass-through ensures that during gaming sessions, if you have a power cable connected to either of the 2 USB-C ports, the components take power directly from the socket, not from the battery. Basically, this system takes the battery out of the equation, so a significant source of heat is eliminated this way. My recommendation, if you intend to push the tablet to the limits in performance mode, is to activate this function, if the situation allows and you are near an outlet. Of course, you can play in performance mode without pass-through, but the temperatures will be higher and the performance is lower. And now it's time to discuss the display, because raw power and performance tricks in gaming are cool, but they wouldn't mean much without a capable screen to showcase them. The display of the Legion Tab is an 8.8-inch IPS, not much larger than the 6.7-inch standard for phones, but clearly more practical in gaming, with a resolution of 1600 by 2560 pixels, clocked at 144 Hz and with a brightness of 500 nits. From my point of view, this size of almost 9 inches is a sweet spot between ease of use and a good viewing experience. I know that many who play intensively on tablets have opted for models like the iPad Pro. At least that's what the statistics indicate. But anyone who has played on such a device knows already that it's quite difficult to hold a large tablet in your hands for a long period of time. Another problem is that, with a large diagonal, the virtual buttons on the screen that you have to press during the game are far apart and therefore tiring to use. This in case you don't want or can't connect a controller via Bluetooth. All these are not a problem on the Legion Tab, and thanks to its suitable dimensions, it is super comfortable and pleasant to play on it in sessions longer than 30 minutes. The weight of 350 grams, half that of a 12.9-inch iPad Pro, means you won't get too tired. The 144 Hz refresh rate is also welcome and makes animations look extremely smooth and pleasant, both in games that support this frequency and in the menu, and the colors are warm and pleasant. The standard brightness of 500 nits is high enough to allow outdoor use, and the screen even supports Dolby Vision for HDR movies at quite good quality. From Dolby also comes the Atmos certifications for the 2 integrated speakers, which sound loud and have surprisingly a lot of bass. It is not the best tablet for music. I still believe that an iPad is superior, but I noticed a very good clarity of actors' voices in movies and series, so you can use the Legion Tab also as a Netflix consumption station. In case you are not satisfied with the audio quality of the speakers, Lenovo did not bother to include a headphone jack, so the only available option is a Bluetooth pair or an adapter. Another area where I noticed cost-cutting is in connectivity. The Legion Tab supports Wi-Fi 6, and all the games and applications I installed downloaded swiftly on our office connection, but there is no version with mobile network support. And not because the model we received for testing doesn't have such a thing, but because there is no variant with 4G or 5G support for this tablet. This could be a significant problem if you are a gamer on the move and you play outside, not just at home under the umbrella of a Wi-Fi network. The only alternative I can think of is to make a hotspot from your phone, but it's an extra hassle that other tablets don't suffer from. There is also no fingerprint sensor for unlocking, but I don't see this as a deal breaker. However, the battery is a strong point, and the 6550 mAh battery is substantially larger than what we have seen on similarly sized tablets, and this is fully felt in everyday use. The Legion Tab has excellent battery life when used normally, can easily reach 2 days, and even in gaming it doesn't perform badly. Predictably, performance mode eats the battery faster in games, but overall I was very satisfied with this aspect. It charges quickly at 45 watt, but the charger is not included in the package. The Legion Tab is available in two configurations: 12 gigs of RAM with 256 gigabytes of storage and 16 gigs of RAM with 512 gigabytes of storage. We had the cheaper version for testing, the one with 12 and 256, and I wouldn't say that I felt the lack of the extra 4 gigabytes of RAM that the more expensive version brings. As for storage, if you come to the conclusion that you don't have enough space, you can easily increase it with the help of a microSD card. We won't linger too long on the topic of cameras because, as you expect from most tablets, the cameras are at best mediocre. The main sensor on the back is 13 megapixels and takes decent pictures in good light, with sufficient details and natural colors. The other rear camera is a 2 megapixels macro, not at all interesting, and selfies are handled by an 8 megapixel sensor, sufficient for video calls and for pictures in the situation where you have nothing better at hand. For example, the phone. Otherwise, the tablet is made of aluminum and is extremely rigid and well put together. The matte finish on the back hides fingerprints well, and overall the design is minimalist, at least for a gaming tablet, which is to be appreciated. Before we give a verdict, we need to talk about the price also. At the time of creating this material, I found the Lenovo Legion Tab Y700 for around 360 euros. And when you think that a top gaming phone can cost north to 1000, 3 times as much, this offer seems good. Sure, it doesn't have the fastest chipset and the most banging screen, but for this price there are few options that could offer you a better gaming experience. I'm not embarrassed by the content viewing either, and the support for Dolby Vision does a good job of visually spicing up movies and series that support this standard. The speakers are also very okay, as is the autonomy, although I would have liked to have the option for a 5G or at least LTE variant for gaming on the move. In the end, is such a gaming tablet worth the money? The answer is quite complicated for several reasons. If you already have a phone capable of running all your favorite games and you don't like the idea of yet another dedicated product for that, this tablet won't change your mind. But if you want to enjoy mobile gaming more and don't mind carrying around another device, then the Legion Tab Y700 is a good choice. It has excellent performance, many tricks and optimizations specially designed for gaming, and a nice screen. And now please tell me in the comments, does this category of products called gaming tablet make sense to you? Or ultimately, is mobile gaming an attribute of any phone or ordinary tablet? And in this context, how do you like the Legion Tab Y700? And with that being said, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you and happy gaming!